Baldy's breakdowns here on PHNX Cardinals. Where do we start other than the first pick for the Arizona Cardinals? Marvin Harrison Jr. Baldy, it was an uneventful day for the former Ohio State Buckeye against the Buffalo Bills.
Well, he was invisible. I mean, they really didn't look for him. Look, there is a feel and a timing to great quarterbacks and great receivers. I was watching, Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford the other day. Nakua goes down, almost every pass goes, and there's just a feel about where they're going to be. There's an anticipation, and that hasn't begun to develop yet. And so it's not fair to be critical at this point. But you would think that the offseason, training camp, preseason, that you would get some of that down, some of the signals down, some of the things that you might see in a game like we just saw, like just hang in there an extra tick. I'm going to get you the ball.
Baldy, we talked about it this offseason where the Cardinals opted not to play Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. in the preseason, and the fact that when we were going through our draft preparation, Marvin didn't do anything because he was preparing for the regular season. So I think everybody just kind of gave the team and the players the benefit of the doubt. But in all actuality, do you think they could have benefited from playing in the preseason together?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Xavier Worthy did. There's no question that they got timing and game action, and it showed up in their opener, against Baltimore. But you see it around the league. I mean, I was in Brazil for the game on Friday, and I was in Indianapolis for the game Sunday. And you talk to these coaches, and it's a risk reward thing. You just don't want to lose players in preseason, in meaningless games. But a lot of teams played their guys, and it showed. It showed on Sunday in some of the execution.
We see an offense that comes out of the gates, Baldy, to start this game 3 for 3 and drives and finding points. They have a 70-yard play drive. They find a touchdown, as we mentioned, the 5-yard score to Michael Wilson, a 10-play, 60-yard field goal scoring drive, and then a 13-play, 71-yard scoring drive. Is there a lot to build off of from that first half offensive performance, or did it just did the Bills find a blueprint in the second half?
No, there's a lot to build on. I mean, they only had 8 total possessions in the game. And, Kyler lost the ball deep in his own territory, which hurt. They kind of made up for it with the kickoff return for a touchdown. They got the score back. So that was good. But they just didn't have the ball a lot. Buffalo did a great job of kind of possessing it and playing keep away. And so then, like I said, they had those last 2 possessions. It's 31-28. It's 34-28. You got 2 chances to go down the field. Honestly, on the road against that team in that atmosphere, to have 2 chances to go down and win the game, and even to throw to Dortch at the goal line, I mean, it's a good throw.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the guy got his hand in there on Dortch or not. I mean, Dortch was kind of their go-to guy, but it's a good throw. The throw on the sideline on the series before was right in the hands of Wilson. I mean, he couldn't throw it any better than he did. So they had their chances. And I guess at the end of the day, even though they didn't, have a lot of scoring drives there in the second half, they had their chances, and that's all you can really want against, an elite program.
Let's look at the defensive side of the ball, Baldy. Is there anything to hang your hat on? Because I think a lot of us were hopeful before the season that they could find their footing. They finished second last in points per game last year. They're well on their way again after 1 week. And a lot of us have been critical. I've been critical of the lack of, additions at pass rusher. And the metrics come out this week. The Cardinals were the worst pass rushing team in the NFL. And it showed up on Sunday. What would you say to this defense after week 1? With a defensive head coach, and I think a really smart defensive coordinator, Nick Rallis, how much can they do without the quality personnel that you need to be able to contend?
Well, I mean, look, they drafted Darius Robinson for a reason, and he's not there. So that's unfortunate. Lopez did get the ball at Josh Allen's hands, force a fumble, get great field position back for the offense, which they converted on. So, those are positives right there. Josh Allen is a beast. I mean, nobody can extend plays, the touchdown run at the end. He's just going to take you all on. He's going to take the whole – he's a difficult guy to get to the ground. The fact that they got one out and they got good field position off the fumble, you got to feel good about that. But, yeah, I mean, I thought Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, they protected the edges really well. And, honestly, James Cook had some good runs. But, they were modest at best. At the end of the day, you average under 4 yards a carry. Like, you can't be disappointed by that. But, at the end of the day, it's about affecting the quarterback. And as this season goes on, if they can't do that on a regular basis, they'll see Matt Stafford this weekend. That guy he's as good as there is at throwing the ball with anticipation and putting it in spots, which is very difficult if you're not. And look, they we'll get to it, but I mean, they had a backup to a backup practice squad left tackle for much of the game. They had a backup to the backup at the right tackle position, and they figured out a way to protect Stafford long enough to do what they did to get to overtime. So, like, no matter what you scheme, Sean McVay has a pretty good answer for whatever you're going to try to do. But it helps if you've got dogs on the outside that can win one-on-ones. Yeah,
let's stay right there. Let's talk about that ravaged offensive line coming to town. Steve Avila goes on IR, and even outside the offensive line, you got Puka, who's also on IR. I mean, the opportunity that's presenting itself for an Arizona Cardinals defense to have a rebound game. Do you see it? And if they don't, is it an even bigger red flag?
Well, I mean, the fact that Avila is on IR, he was their best lineman last year. He was the biggest difference in the whole offense. I mean, Kyron Williams had a great season, but he coming in and playing left guard. It's just him and Alark on the left side. They built their offensive line, and Havenstein, and they were really good. And Kyron got going, and when he got going, the Rams offense took off. You lose, I don't know if Havenstein's back, the left tackle's out, McClendon's at right tackle. I mean, it's a juggle. I mean, it's been like that all year. They lost 3 starters in preseason. I don't know who's back, who isn't, but to lose Avila is huge. Like, this is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity. I mean, Stafford got beat up the other day by Detroit. I don't know how he survived, what Aiden Hutchinson did to him. They don't have Aiden Hutchinson in Arizona.
No, we don't.
Still, I mean, but Zaven Collins, like, I don't care. Gardeck, like, you're going to get opportunities to go up against practice squad level players. Like, you're out there, you got to win. You got to win some of these one-on-ones out there.
Sean McVay's beaten the Cardinals all but 2 times since he's been in this division. What does it mean for Jonathan Gannon, who didn't win a divisional game last year, didn't play with a full deck? We've asked everybody this. Like, the sense of urgency here, if the Cardinals want to assert themselves as borderline playoff team at the end of the year, is this as close to a must-win game at the beginning of the season as it comes?
I think so. I mean, you look, going on the road to Buffalo is tough, but this is a division game. These things, you win in your division, you're on your way to building something. But it starts with division games. Now, a lot of teams don't get these division games early. We only had 2 interdivision games last week to start the season, the Chargers and Raiders and the Colts and Texans. That's the only ones. So you get a chance to play these division games at home with a team that comes in pretty decimated up front. You got to take advantage of it. You saw the Detroit Lions in overtime run the ball right down their throats. I mean, they went 8 plays, 70 yards, and 7 of them were like right between the tackles. I mean, they just ran David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And if I'm James Conner and I'm the guys up front, I'm saying let's do the same thing. Like, let's take that formula and let's add Kyler to it. Let's add Kyler in the run game. When they did beat the Rams a couple of years back, maybe 3 years ago, they ran the ball right down their throats. Yep. And that's how they won that game.
Lost in the shuffle on the offensive side of the football, the poor performance from Marvin Harrison Jr. in the lost, opportunities to win that football game was a really good left tackle debut from Paris Johnson Jr. Did you see a similar thing?
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, Paris, I think he played every snap last year. He's a very consistent player. I know he has studied Lane Johnson's kickstart, just to get off on the ball. And really the key, and, he's going to see some good young edge pass rushers, Byron Young and, Jared Verse. You're going to see some good young players. But when you get off on the snap and you have a consistent set and you really trust your set, I mean, it's a big part of winning your battles. And I just think Paris is a really conscientious player. I think he's very talented. And I'm happy for his early success. He's not always showing up in wins and losses, but I think him and Evan Brown have a chance to be a pretty good left side.
He's the best. Baldy's breakdowns. We do it every week here on PHNX Cardinals. Check him out. NFL All-City Analyst. Thank you so much, Baldy. Have you back on, hopefully after a dub next week. Let's do it. I'll see you next week, guys, and enjoy the game, and let's discuss it next week. We all silly like the mayor.